Hours after polls closed on Sunday, Turkey appeared headed for a runoff presidential election, with rival parties both claiming the lead. But sources in camps of both incumbent President Tayyip Erdogan and challenger Kemal Kilicdaroglu admitted they may not clear the 50% threshold to win outright. Early results put Erdogan comfortably ahead, but as the count continued, his advantage slid. Sunday's vote is one of the most consequential elections in the country's 100-year history, a contest that could end Erdogan's 20-year rule and reverberate well beyond Turkey's borders. As one of President Vladimir Putin's closest allies, a defeat for Erdogan will likely unnerve the Kremlin but comfort the Biden administration, as well as many European and Middle Eastern leaders who had troubled relations with Erdogan. Turkey's longest-serving leader has turned the NATO member country of 85 million into a global player, modernized it through megaprojects, and built a military industry sought by foreign states. But his volatile economic policy of low interest rates set off a spiraling cost of living crisis and inflation, angering voters. His government's slow response to a devastating earthquake in southeast Turkey that killed 50,000 people added to voters' dismay.
Sevgili halkım,
Kılıçdaroğlu has pledged to set Turkey on a new course by reviving democracy after years of state repression, returning to orthodox economic policies, empowering institutions who lost autonomy under Erdogan's tight grasp, and rebuilding ties with the West. If neither candidate secures 50% of Sunday's vote, the runoff election will be held May 28th.
Email exchanges from inside the BBC, they talk about the risk of violating Indian laws. It's easier to rake up the freedom of speech debate, but does it give anyone a free pass to knowingly violate the law? America supports India because it needs India's support in return, and India is working with the US because it suits India's interests. This is how geopolitics works. Last night, he diffused a crisis with his defense minister. But today, Netanyahu was confronted with a new problem. His cabinet seems to have rebelled against him. The UK is looking at the Indian subcontinent to fill its coffers. That India seems to be negotiating from a position of power, like a partner and not a former colony. The US and Russia are dangerously close to an armed conflict. This year, 2023, New Delhi will be the capital of global diplomacy. For a country as diverse as ours, with 88% of the population illiterate, it was a very big deal to write a constitution, and that too, the world's largest. Meanwhile, if we may, here's a Republic Day gift from India for the BBC. A list of suggestions for the BBC for their upcoming documentaries. Number 1, the Kohinoor and the colonial loot. Number 2, an outdated monarchy and unhealthy obsession with the royals. Number 3, racism in 2023. We're waiting.